Hey guys, so today I thought I'd just film some of my sketching process. I find I love watching other artists' videos of them doing the same thing. It's just so easy to just sketch along with them. I also wanted to talk about the journey of just finding your art style and how it can be discouraging not to have any consistency and how art turns out. And in the sketch in the background, I thought I'd just draw some Genshin characters from memory. I actually haven't played Genshin in quite some time, like a couple months, but I still think of their character designs, and I really love Zhongli. And I actually don't have Kazuha, but I thought I'd just draw Kazuha. And I'm using a brand new sketchbook I got. As you can see, there was only 2 pages done from the beginning. But it's a Fabriano sketchbook. I really like this one because it can lay flat and like the spine doesn't like disrupt my drawing or anything. But after using it just for a little bit, I find that the paper is a bit smudgy, so I have to be very careful with my fingers, or else it will smudge up all of my drawings and it looks nasty. And I like to go in, like to start with a 2H, like a very light pencil, just to lay down all the layering and the groundwork, kind of the construction for it all. And then I go in later with like a darker pencil, like a 2B, HB, just to like show the details and really make it pop. And for Kazuha here, I kind of found it really hard to get the eyes right, and that's just a general thing I struggle with my art style and everything. And the ratio for the eye to the face, I find I tend to make them a bit too big. They kind of end up looking bug-eyed, and you'll see me erase it over and over again, like 3 times or so before I'm finally satisfied with one that I like. But that's also just a general struggle with me and my art style. I find that no matter what, even in the drawings here, after I finish all 3, I find that they all just look completely different. And I'll put some examples up on the screen, but I find that there's some similarities between them all, but there's nothing really there that screams like, hey, this is Kuji's art. But I feel like this is kind of a struggle that every artist goes through at least some point in their life, that we're all looking for that thing that will kind of make us stand out from each other, when I feel like we should just be focusing on our skills and everything, but it's kind of hard not to think about it from time to time. And I also just find myself having a lot of like art style envy. Like I find that I want to switch my art style almost every day at this point. Every time I see a new cool artist on Twitter, or I'm reminded of this other artist on like my timeline, I just want to emulate them as much as I can. But in the process of doing that, I find that I just get like this big amalgamation and kind of like mesh of a bunch of different art styles that I can't really call my own, because I don't even know what my own is. But I try not to let that eat away at me too much, because in the end, like, anyone's art style is actually just a big mesh of all their favorite artists. Whether or not you're realism, or you're doing anime, or you're semi-realistic, like I find that you're always gonna find inspiration from somewhere. So technically that means everyone's just copying everyone. Also, side note, I don't know why, but I just completely love drawing clothing, wrinkles and everything. Even if it's not completely realistic, I just find you can just make a bunch of funny shapes and somehow you can make it look like it's a piece of clothing folding onto itself. And I do want to try and do more full bodies. I find I get really stuck into drawing just pretty girls and guys, and kind of just keeping it in like the face, kind of like full frontal view. But in order to improve and just like diversify my skill set, I guess you could say, I think it would do well to draw more full bodies. Oh, and here I am trying to draw Kazuha's little red strand, because I just remembered that that's kind of his more discernible feature. And maybe it's just me, but I feel like Kazuha looks just like the Traveler with just a piece of red, but don't come at me for that. And on the left here, I actually was just on full autopilot mode, so I wasn't actually thinking of any sort of Genshin character here. And in the end, I really did not like how it turned out. It was kind of at that point where I just kept trying to make it work, and it just wasn't working. And so in the end, you see me, I don't really give up, but I kind of just leave it be, and I'm not really trying to make it look like anyone in particular. And I think it was partially just because of how small I made the face. I was trying to get like this little perspective kind of thing going on with like Kazuha being in like the more foreground and this guy is further back, but it really just didn't work. And again, here I kind of struggle with the eyes and everything and how far apart, and I just, even just looking at it now, I'm not really a big fan of it. But we all make mistakes, and that's just kind of the big motto as being an artist, is that we all, in order to improve, you have to make mistakes and learn what you did wrong, because how else are you supposed to find your strengths and weaknesses in your art and just anything in life? And on the right page here, I kind of learned from my mistake earlier, and I made the face much bigger. However, this one was definitely a trust the process. I was not really feeling this one from the start. And again, I find when I look at the finished product for this one, it just seems like a completely different artist drew it from the Kazuha and the other guy before. But this also just might be me being hard on myself. Like, I find when I see my friends and other artists and mutuals, I have all praise for them because they're just so crazy and amazing. Crazy in a good way, but then when I see myself, I find I'm my worst critique. I always see all like the imperfections and the mistakes, and I kind of get this high in the moment where like I really like a drawing, but then I look at it for a little bit, or I come back at it like a day later, and I'm just like, wow, why did I feel so proud of this one? But also, don't mind the hand anatomy here. I'm still struggling with hands, as most artists I believe are, but just pretend like it makes sense. And I'm pretty sure I don't even go over this later to darken it because I was not very proud of it, but whatever. I definitely think if I were to try and find something that does make my art style more discernible from others, I think it would be the eyes. I find I spend a lot of time on the eyes to try and really make them look the way I want them to. And I'm really trying to find that balance between like semi-realism and like everything, because I love like the manhwa art style. I love anime and everything, but I came from a realism background, so I always try and add little pieces here and there, and I find I need to try and simplify things a lot more. And here you can see me just putting in the details on the eyes, and I really do think I spend the most time on the eyes when it comes to anything. And I really like having that little like eyelash wing on the edge. I don't really like drawing the individual lashes. I find that just is too, I don't know, it makes it look too realistic, and it kind of loses that little essence of what makes it mine. And the one good thing about this paper is that the smudginess kind of helps when I like adding a little bit of like shadow or smudge near the eyes, on the nose, on the lips, and I really don't have to do much other than just like take my finger or Q-tip and smudge it out, and it really gives a nice gradient effect. I guess another thing I would say is I really like my lips when I draw people. I think that's also a reason why I'm not very good at the traditional anime and manga style, because I can't just leave the line, or I can't just leave the lips as a line. I feel like I need some juiciness, like some color there. The more I look back on this, I notice how little I actually remember about Zhongli and all the little details and everything. I think I got like just like the hairstyle, but even then the hair is a bit short, and I might be having an unpopular opinion, but I really don't like the ponytails in Genshin. Like, I understand that it's an aesthetic and it's a culturally accurate, but I really just don't like ponytails on, or at least when I draw people. And it's not even just like only men, it's like even females. I'm not a big fan of them. But so in this drawing, I didn't draw it because I'm selfish and I'm drawing, and it's drawing for myself. So however, I did remember that he had an earring. I don't remember if that's exactly how it looked, but I know there was like the black diamond kind of dangling off. And I almost drew him in just like a normal shirt, but I remember that he's wearing this kind of cloak that has like 2 or 3 layers. And here is actually, like, I think one of my favorite parts of just sketching and drawing in general. I'm a big fan of like the hatching kind of shading whenever there's like dark parts, and I just find it so aesthetically pleasing and like nice to look at. Even in a lot of my older like drawings, and I wouldn't even call them sketches because I spend just as much time on them as like an actual colored piece. I just love using this style where you can see the like almost like the pencil strokes. Even though I did it digitally, it's emulating the pencil strokes, and something about it is just so, it's just so fun to do. It's calming, it's soothing, but I also just find it gives like a really cool texture to the whole piece, and just kind of makes it so that you don't just like blend everything with your fingers and everything, even though here I am doing it myself. I really don't know what else to talk about. I feel like I probably should have had a script or something written for this, but it's my first voiceover, it's my first video, so hopefully you guys can bear with me. And for the rest of the video, I think I'm just gonna have just the background sketch footage play, and then yes, I'll see you guys again at the end. Yeah, here is the final spread. And don't mind the random sketches there, but I think it turned out decently from doing it all from memory. You know, I definitely could have gotten the like list better, but other than that, I want to thank you guys for stopping by, and see you soon. Bye.